Hello, I am Rowan Coleman, writing as Bella Ellis, and I'm here at Brontë Parsonage Museum today to read you an extract from my book, The Vanished Bride. Haworth Parsonage, December 1851. Drawing her shawl a little closer around her, Charlotte adjusted her writing slope once more and dipped the nib of her pen back into the ink, her head bent low, nose just above the paper. Yet, just as so many times before, her hand hovered over the blank page, and it seemed impossible to put pen to paper in a house so empty of anything but the ghosts of those she loved. All was very quiet now. Even the fire in the grate seemed muffled and muted, and it felt near impossible to draw any warmth from the brightly dancing flames, almost as if she were already a ghost herself. Papa was in his study, as he always seemed to be these days. Tabby and Martha were in the kitchen, looking up for the night, even though, according to the clock that stood outside the staircase, it was only a little after 7. Outside, the night leant in against the little house, the weight of it creaking against the window glass. But even as the wind howled down the chimney breast, all that Charlotte heard was silence. All that she felt was absence. All that she knew was loss. Not even Emily's beloved dog Keeper was here anymore to keep her company with his snuffles and barks, playfully dragging at the hems of her skirts with his teeth. At least now that dog was too gone. Charlotte didn't have to witness his hopeful eyes searching for his mistress when the back door was opened, nor feel her own spirits rise every time the cold air blew in, bringing with it the promise of Emily back from a march across the moor. Oh, how she craved the companionship that once seemed as commonplace as her own breath. It had been such a short time, and yet 1,000 years ago, that she had shared this table, this house, her entire life with her siblings. Here, with what felt like the whole world at their backs, the three of them had talked, written, maddened, known and loved one another with such a steadfast strength that it made it all sustaining. Here they had laughed and argued as she had written Jane Eyre and her sisters their own great works, not one of them guessing at the whirlwind they were inviting into their small, humble lives. Now Emily, Anne and Branwell were all gone to a better place, and for the sister left behind, this mortal existence was almost unbearably lonely. And yet, Charlotte's mouth curled into a small echo of a smile as she remembered what adventures they had forged together, the dangers they had faced, the shocking revelations they had uncovered, the secrets they had kept. From the fashionable drawing rooms of London to the soirees of New York, the world had talked about those Brontë women who had wrought such passion and pride on the page. At first, some doubted they were men, and then others refused to believe they could be women. And it made Charlotte smile to think how very little of the truth those people knew, how very little of what she and her sisters truly were. Now, her sisters and her brother Branwell were all dead. Not another living soul on this earth knew everything. Not one memory of the wonders and the horrors that they had discovered for themselves had ever been committed to paper, and any correspondence that might have revealed them had been meticulously burnt by Charlotte herself. When one day it would become Charlotte's turn to join her siblings in God's grace, all that had happened in those few glorious, thrilling years, the last years that they would be together, would die with her. No one would ever know of their adventures. Outside that very pane of glass that shook and trembled in its frame as she sat alone at the table, a universe of humanity gusted as hard as the wind in a ceaseless vortex of life and death. And all you needed in order to uncover its darkest secrets was to know exactly where to look. It might be said, Charlotte thought to herself with a smile, as her nib finally joined with paper and she began to forge worlds out of ink, that none had ever lived such an adventurous, dangerous and exciting lives as those three women who grew up in a village no one had ever heard of on the edge of the windswept and desolate moor. Those were secrets that would never be told, but oh, what wonderful secrets they were.